Uh, just I was gonna come on here a little bit uh, because I figure this might be a little long, but just had a thought. Had some personal things touched on somewhat before, but uh, not in a while, at least not to this extent. But it might help somebody, and it might make them think, because they might be in a similar situation that I went through or my wife went through. Now, I was thinking, you know, when Miss Prophet and the people come by, and Miss Prophet mentioned something. Was talking a little bit about everything, church, and uh, she brought up, I brought up about how family and stuff was going, and how, well, unfortunately, and I know before I get started, I know if they were to ask my people, my family, they would say I'm hard to deal with. Well, they were too. I mean, it takes two to tango. And like I said, I'll try to go as much detail or, what, so so that if, something happened, somebody can always go back and say, well, you know, yeah, I hear all these made up lies. And like I said, you know, they would say I didn't want to be around the family that much or whatever, as far as people that wasn't around me regularly. Well, they didn't. They like I say, I was put in places where you know, and around people that um, you know had something that they wanted to do with me. I couldn't say no if they wanted to have, you know, English's people up there because Mark and Melissa. See, Mark is married. Mark married Melissa, my aunt, and his people. I never seen them before. Now I know that if the who I call the Gosper, the head of the snake, and Regina could might as well join in. She basically takes up for anything Granny does to what used to be left to her grandson. Well, you know, and I pointed this out. If they wanted to do, uh, you know, if they wanted to bring up 100, there's nothing I could have done. I mean, I didn't set up Christmas parties. I didn't set up I had a little say when it was my birthday or somebody pitched an idea and they knew I'd like it. They knew I'd like to go to Chuck E. Cheese or Showbiz or wherever, you know. They knew that. And if they didn't want to do it, I wouldn't have cared. I was a kid. I would have had fun staying at the house, being there, just seeing a few of the kin folks. But, like I was saying to my wife earlier, what turned out to be at the time a blessing and me moving up here and being around Granny and everything, it's turned in the last 2.5 years has really been rough because, and even before that, around 2006 or 7, especially, um, it got rough because she all of a sudden wanted to have these people. And my granny's always been one, I remember Dot and my dad and the people that were reasonable would notice this about Granny. You couldn't go anywhere without her stopping and saying something to somebody, whether it was somebody she knew or not. It could have been anybody in that store, and majority of the time, she had to open her mouth. And I know that at the time when I was a kid, it didn't bother me as bad, me and Dot or somebody, when we have a little personal time. And, I could shoot the bull down there with Dot. That's what I always liked about Dot, You could go down there and it'd be, a night and day difference. And Danny knows this. I know he's not here physically. He knows what I'm talking about. And I feel like he's hearing it now. He probably right now, physically, if here, I know he would not like seeing Granny treat his son like this. And he damn sure wouldn't like the fact that it's gotten to the point it's gotten to. But he would understand it. It's probably tough on him knowing that it took him to pass away for her to really show her butt and to really be so out of line towards me and say some of the most hurtful things that you could say to what was your grandson. Because I at one time felt pretty close to my people, especially my grandmother and Dot. Even though Dot, uh, you know, like I said, the only time that Dot wasn't Dot was towards the last little bit of what she had left of her life, which I'm not going to knock. She was, kind of like, if Granny was like a second mom to me, well, she could have been my third. She was real nice. Like I told my wife, I wished she had gotten to see Dot in her real form, not the last little bit that she got. Closest my wife got was September. But even then, Dot was in very early stages of what we would come to know about 2 or 3 months later. And, it's just, my grandmother must be having some kind of dementia or, in these last 10 or 12 years, she went from being what I knew when I was 9 to 10 years old and even prior to that. I mean, when I was living with my mom and my dad and my mom were married, this never flared up. This never was a problem. If I went up there to visit my grandparents, which was only, and my mom, and I don't give my mom too much credit, but, this I can say for a fact. My mother didn't have to let them see me up there. And no, I'm not changing my tune. My mother knows what she's done wrong to me, even in just the most recent time that we've had some dealings with her. I looked at Oscar and I told him, my mother is not the same mother she used to be. You know, and I can go way back when she had she had the little brat. I've always not seen eye to eye with her. I don't have anything against anybody that I don't know that knows her, but I'm here to tell you that my mother will make you think that she always supported Star, that she's always been her biggest fan. when not nobody, I didn't plant this in my mom's head, but she told me on the phone that Star was getting so bad at that point. This was way before my wife came up. This was probably about even a year prior to that or so, 2010 ish. So, because my mother was like, I've had another one of my uh, arguments, another one of my disagreements with, Oscar. And one time, and one time I think they got physically involved with each other. And I didn't see it, but I have the feeling because, there was some stuff told to me by Danny and Darren that there was a physical altercation a long time ago. One of those times that Darren didn't leave then, but there was sometimes, that things, and like I said, I can only recall one time that Darren, because he used to kind of come to me because he knew he could come to just anybody, but he felt like he could come to me because he knew Danny would probably take my mom's side, and even though he knew how my mom was, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I cannot believe that Oscar's never hurt my mama or that my mom's not actually come at him and hit him. Because I can speak to a couple of times that she physically got my dad upset, made things worse. I can remember as a kid one particular time sitting in the room and hearing all kinds of this and that, all kinds of arguing. And I can't even remember what that time was over, but um, I can remember I was pretty well tearing up a little bit. I won't say I was crying to beat 90, but it was, I definitely wasn't happy. Uh, and I can't remember if Darren had been born then or not. He might have been, but he was definitely a lot younger if he was there. Because, like I said, I can't remember years exactly, but if I were guessing, it was probably when I was 7 or 8 or so, or maybe even 6. Because, like I said, he would have been probably 2 or 3 at probably the most. But and we used to live over at this trailer. My papa let my mom and dad have over there because they were trying to be nice. Again, one of those times where they were trying to be nice and trying to and it was good for everybody then because, like I said, it was just a different time. My papa was working, and so if we lived next door to each other, right across from each other, and I could go over at any time and just visit, And I look back at it now, and I was just having a conversation with my wife, but I look back at it now, and seeing things in a picture that I see them now. I wished I had, instead of choosing between my mom and my grandparents, I wish I had chosen Danny. Because Danny understood me from um, he understood me from a different point of view than most people. He didn't take, he didn't take things and try to lie about it to make himself look better. If he was in the wrong, he would come to you. Maybe not right away. I mean, especially when, it was concerning, as I call her, the little brat, the little star. You know, he was, because that's the only thing he ever did to me. You know, you know what I'm saying. Um, he never, usually ever, hardly ever had anything negative or bad to say. As a matter of fact, he didn't hardly cuss nobody. I mean, at times, you get him in a moment. And I used to, I didn't either, but I have come out more freely and just said what I think. And sometimes I just don't give a rat's butt what I think about anything. But I'm trying to keep this as, positive, but also telling what needs to be told, because I lived it. Now I know that my wife wasn't here for all those years to see the good stuff that I got to see and to go to the places I went to. I mean, I did things when we didn't have to. I did things and I went over backwards, bent over backwards for people. The time that my grandmother wanted us to go to Rock City, that was not a place I wanted to go. That was one particular time where I said, "Hey, it's a trip," you know, and it's some it's a we're going to get out and we're going to make the best of it. My grandmother was telling me, "Oh, you've never been here before. You'll like this," and blah blah blah. But in further examination, unless you just like looking at rocks and caves and stuff like that, it wasn't really anything, to be, and then the whole fat man squeeze thing. Um, but I just, you know, and no, nobody, and just like they didn't like the time we did the 2 hour train ride. Well, it was for us, wasn't for them. It's for us. Me and Darren wanted to see what the difference was. And after we got through with that, and this is when we were kids, when we got through with it, we said, "Hey, we agreed it was not as good as we thought it was." And that was kind of on us. And we didn't do it again. But over all the years that people giving me crap, yeah, the only time I said anything vocal about not liking something that got to me so bad was one time I was up at Granny's, and this was probably about 2005 or 6 or something through there. I can't remember, but it's around in that time frame. Might have been early 2007. It's when I was still up there at Granny's. And between 2006 and 2007, I was still not still at the time, most of that time not working, depending on when this situation occurred. Because apparently my grandmother, she got to where she just wasn't mentally in her right mind. She went out her way to do these things for people, and even upset Papa sometimes. Papa's like Danny was, or Papa Gene I've heard was, not very vocal. He was pretty quiet at times, but would speak what he had to say, and when he needed to say something, you got what you need to get. And I didn't know Papa Gene, so I mean I was real little when he passed away. I didn't know who that was, so I'm not gonna, but just from what I know, my dad took what he saw from him, Papa Gene, and took, my papa took it from him. So, you know, they learned a lot from Papa Gene. I don't have anything to say bad about that person at all. I didn't hardly know him. Now, would everybody be proud of the fact that, I speak my mind the way I do, or I see? No, because again, it's not something they want to do. My grandmother wants to live every minute by minute, every hour on the hour. She doesn't want to think ahead. She wants to do the things that makes everybody else that she doesn't hardly know, that's just like a lowercase friend or some type of acquaintance that, you only get about 30 minutes or an hour out of. And again, I'm not knocking people who like to go do the bingo or who like to go do things like that when you get to the or red hats or whatever it be. But I'm saying, if you're one of those people that knows, or at the time you could say, I thought I knew my grandmother, just like she would say, oh, I thought I knew my grandson. Well, your grandson's not no pushover. And I didn't say you were a pushover, but there was a time a long time ago when you didn't care about anybody but who was in your immediate, family. You didn't care. I mean, like I said, you might have had the occasional, her going out in the store and saying things to people she didn't hardly know. My grandmother, even before it became, a popular thing for everybody to say about some people, she could be one of those people that she didn't even hardly know them, and she'll go and say, "Oh, Derek, it's just, yeah, friends. What are, like I said, I have come to see what friends really are. They're a pain in the ass. They are just like most people are when they, you know, it's like when most kids grow up. It's like I try to tell, our landlord, Miss Prophet, you know, I told her, I said, it's just, they're not going to admit what I'm going to admit on this video. But no, it's not about me getting my way all the time. It's not about my wife getting her way all the time when she came into the picture. She wanted to take me and her wanted to take Granny out, wanted to work around her schedule, and wanted to have, uh, we wanted to have a time where I was going to try to get my wife and go out, with my grandmother and go to the zoo. I'd brought it up. My grandmother just act like it was never brought up. She I didn't want to poke her about it, I didn't want to make a big deal about it, but she just wasn't having fun with her grandson like she used to have anymore. Because she all of a sudden, from the time that those people from Pennsylvania moved up here, and again, it was one of those things, she didn't even know who was in that little house down there. She got out there fooling around with her fucking, little road out there, picking up trash or whatever. And then she went and nosed down there and seen somebody come out of the house. So then I got put in one of the biggest messes that ever. My dad, he, he was still around at this time. This is 2007. You know, they're lucky they didn't lose me at 23 the way I felt. My blood pressure, as I've said, it shot up so much I thought I was going to die on the table. And I thought I'd never see another day. And my grandmother, and I can't tell you what took over. It was like nothing I ever felt before. I was aggravated that, and this is when my brother was just happened to be up there. He was staying the night. And I mean, I lost it. I don't know what took over me, but it just came out. Everything I had built up in there came out. And these idiots from Pennsylvania, they used to live in Pennsylvania, came all the way down here. And this guy, Richard, I believe was his name, he was calling at 3 in the morning wanting my grandmother or people to tell him or talk about his personal problems with his family or wife or some person that he was having his own little issues with at 3 in the fucking morning. It wasn't like it was an emergency. If somebody called me at 3 in the morning, I'd want it to be a fucking emergency. But no, it's, and I could point to many times when, you get, stuff happens, to you and you don't understand why. But then years later, like I can say, man, I could put this whole puzzle together. Like the time my mom showed up at my graduation. She did that because she just wanted to be seen. She didn't want to feel like she wasn't there. She wanted to feel like it was all about her and it was all about, because she didn't want to live knowing that she didn't go to her son's graduation. Just like she wasn't there for my uh, freaking talent show. She's nowhere to be seen, but she made sure that on the day of the graduation, when I graduated, she made sure, oh yeah, I'm gonna be there for that. And all the things, and my daddy said this at the time, and I remember this like it was yesterday. She has no firsthand knowledge of what my dad and I talked about, first of all. This was between me and him. Darren could probably acknowledge this because it could have been brought up, around him later on too. We could have been talking about it, but out of all the things, and when especially when you're, I guess, a daughter or something, you seem to get money, you seem to get, things, that you might want. Hell, they might go overboard and get you, well, which I never wanted to drive, to be honest with you, but, some people could go overboard if they really liked you, probably go and pay for your college or maybe go get you a car that you could drive. Maybe, like I said, for me, it would have to be something other than a car because I've never wanted to drive. But out of all the things my mother could got me, she got me this freaking coin. And it was like in a box, like a blue box. I opened it, and my dad didn't even know what it was, but he had kind of an idea, and he said, "I don't know what this is, but this is what your mom got you." So I opened it up, and I looked at it, and it was just like a little old bitty, like a little encased coin thing, and it had, I'm sure it had the I can't remember all that was on it, but it was like a little It had my stuff in it, like wrote on it like the year I graduated, what school I'm sure, Meigs County High School, things like that. But, for all the hell that I get, I'm not trying to make myself, and I'm not trying to say that I'm always right, but for the most part, I was just everybody's go between, everybody's goat. You know, I was like getting blamed for things that wasn't my fault. And like, I told this prophet yesterday, had I had thought about things the way I am thinking about them now, if I had, I would have had an option C. Yes, I might not have gotten to see my wife up here, Jessica, because that could have turned out different because he used to live in Cleveland for the longest time. I don't know, you know. And again, by 2007, he was up here. So there, like I said, there could have been a chance. But I definitely would have had, because even if I were down in Cleveland, I probably would have not have gotten with nobody. Um, because, like I said, it was not about bringing somebody home. As long as I got up, as long as I was, um, you know, doing something from whatever 6:30 in the morning till whatever our time I got home, which normally was about 2:30, 3 o'clock or so. And if I were down in McDonald, Tennessee, it might have been 3:30 or 4 o'clock when I lived down there. But it's like my wife was talking about, you know, friends that I went to school with. It's not my fault that at one time they made this impression on me, like they could come to me and talk about things that were on TV and on the radio, music, movies, TV shows, or whatever. Now everybody didn't like what I liked and didn't, but I can give a few examples. Like one time, I had this one girl named Chastity in a class that I normally wasn't in, but I had her class first period, and she was in there. So I every morning she used to have this song that she liked to sing by Tim McGraw called "I Like It, I Love It," and so one particular time, um, I was going to church with her and my wife at the time, and still my wife. We were going to church with her. And at this time, what I was trying to say was Chastity was with somebody and they were throwing a birthday party. And I just happened to be in the pig, and she stopped and something got said. I don't remember what exactly, but then stuff got brought up about, hey, something about church got brought up somehow. I don't remember who brought it up or what. But anyway, she got to saying something about, well, I'm having a thing for my husband and all this stuff. And that's why, like I said, it was something unheard of. Why would they? I mean, he's not a pastor of the church. He's not somebody, because it's typical for a church to throw a pastor appreciation dinner or, go and pay for him some type of, dinner, maybe, get him a trip to somewhere. Maybe they saved up some money and they want to do a thank you like thing for him being the pastor of church. This was just some completely random person that I didn't know getting a birthday party from members of this small church. And, Grace Baptist, by the way. Um, and like I said, it was at the time I didn't have no issues with it. But then she, all right, so basically what ended up happening was she gave out her number to us, and we gave her ours, and we were texting. We wasn't calling, we were mainly texting. And the only time we text was if we was ready to go to church with. Which again, here's where you could see why I didn't, you know, get with anybody or do anything because it was just like, oh, it's about church and that's it. They don't know how to have fun. They don't know how to do anything, because like I told my wife, I said, man, if what if she wasn't such, I didn't know this Chastity. And I didn't know her as a woman. I knew her as Chastity Jordan, which was her name at the time when I knew her best. At least when I knew the best impressions of her when we were just kids. So, she goes from this smiley, very, seemed like very talkative kid to when I meet her years later, she's probably at that time, she's probably still somewhere in between her 30, she might have been 30 to, maybe in her 20s, because I was in my 20s. Still then, I think. Yeah, pretty certain. Either that or I was in my early 30s. I can't remember. But whatever, we went to this church thing. I was either in my late 20s or early 30s. And so, anyway, yeah, I just, and I tried to make the best out of it. But as with all things, when you're not used to being around somebody, but on a limited basis and on a very thin basis, and then I never knew her to be such a an uptight church type person, and I never knew her to even, I didn't talk about. That's the thing with me. When I was a kid, I didn't talk about anything related to news, politics, church. I didn't bring it up. And I'm not trying to demean anybody who is raised up to kind of be in that. That's what most families do, and that's nothing against Miss Prophet or anybody else. She was being nice, Miss Prophet was yesterday, and I was just trying to kind of give, and she understood. I said, well, if a pastor took his time out to uh, to you know go out and do you know the Bible justice, read it from the beginning, and go to the end every time. If they took the song book and read it and looked at it and taught you every song that was in the song book, not just sing 5 or 10 songs that people vote on to sing to like. But there's a reason why that book is there. It's not about what God says. God put everything in that book. God don't just tell you random shit to say. If you, if you had, my point is, if you had any other celebrity type book, any other means of another person's book, and you had somebody you really liked, whether it would be a music star, movie star, or what have you, sports athlete, you would not put that book down till you read that whole thing. And if you did stop, you would have put a bookmark in it. Well, these people, and like I said, I don't pick on my wife for wanting to go occasionally. I, it's good for her because it gets her out once in a while, and she doesn't go every time. A lot of times she doesn't feel like it. But no, it's not because I don't want to go with my wife. It's just like I said. For one thing, too, this driveway is not the most comfortable to get up and down. And and another thing, I don't trust people giving me a ride or my wife a ride because I don't want to feel like I'm a bother to everybody just because I'm in a certain situation that most people out here would not understand. And so, there's a lot of things like, like with my family. I can remember one time Jason, my Uncle Jason, being a jackass, being a prick at the time over a fucking seat. I went to the bathroom, and lo and behold, I had only been gone for 2 or 3 minutes. He was sitting there in another seat, eating or whatever he was doing, reading a magazine or whatever. And I literally had gotten up just to go to the bathroom. And before I got back, he had gotten my seat. And at the time, I was like, and I was a kid then. But I went there and I got Granny. And I told Granny what was going on. And this was when she was herself. This ain't, the one that I speak of now, but the person I knew then. She understood everything. She was on board. She said he wasn't, he was going to come back to his seat. Jason just did it out of spite because he knew that, or at least he thought that I probably wouldn't have told on him, and that he probably thought he's just invincible because he didn't see nothing wrong with it, whereas I did. And because, I wouldn't do that to him. I wouldn't do that to nobody. As a matter of fact, I'm usually one that likes to try to give somebody a chance. If I don't have that much and I see somebody that's, or like if I don't have, or like if somebody don't have that much and they want to go in front of me, I'll let them go. I don't mind the wait. Very rarely do I, not do that, but most time, whether I know you or I don't, I usually, when I'm out in the store or something, I'm usually pretty courtesy like that and try to do right. Just like all these people, when my wife came up here, what would be about 11 years ago now, these people at the pig thinks that, and everybody does, everybody that wants to sit there and take up for, the little brat, as I've called her, and all this stuff. She has, and there's a lot of reasons. It's nothing to do with jealousy. There's a lot of truth to what I'm trying to tell, people. She's had jobs that she has not held down for any length of time that would even come close to me. Uh, and this is not anything like I never had not one thing to do with her getting a job. The only thing close to it, and the reason, like I said, I don't hate Jean Wade for giving her a chance, but I felt like me or my wife, or one of us, or both of us, could have had an opportunity to work there at the peak. But he wanted, at the time, now I don't know how he feels about it now, but at the time he wanted to have young kids. We were a little bit older than that. I was out of high school. This was around, I'll see, 2011. Yeah, I'd have been about 27. So, my wife would have been a lot younger too then. So she's what, 34 now. So she'd have been, you know, about 23, 24. So, like I said, uh, it's, and I remember one time, and I said, my mom, she's just so thrilled, above and beyond anything. She's like, "Oh, I'm so happy for the," made it apparent to me to tell me all, and I didn't even ask. To my knowledge, I never asked for, her to tell me about what they did or what. And I guess she just, because, my mom just for some reason, she's always, that's one thing. I always felt like Star was just somebody she wanted to force on me, wanted me to like, because she wanted to act like she liked her too. Because I tell you, my mom has admitted to many, many times, and it has admitted to many of her friends in the past. My dad has come to me. Hell, I had Angie ask me about my mom's used to be a friend. Um, she had come on, and when I found her, she came to me and asked me about Star's attitude. And I said she's always been that way. And I said it this exact way. I remember saying this. I said she is like Gina. I said when Gina is being bad and cussing and fussing and arguing with Oscar or hitting and whatever they've done to each other, I wasn't there, but I can tell you, if she made me mad enough to have to get her to physically get out of my house, out of my apartment, which one time it led to that. My dad actually, one time, in the heat of the moment, she made him so mad and wouldn't leave and wouldn't, when he was trying to get her to leave. So he popped her a good one, smacked her one time. Like I said, she's very confrontational. She thinks that, just like everybody now wants to put me down, they want to think that everything they say is always the right way to be. They think they're never wrong. I never said I never was wrong. I just said I'm normally right. 9 times out of 10, I always try to do what is right when it comes to, and like I said, there might be times like yesterday, me and my wife, we had, we've here in the last week, we had a couple things that maybe had I not, turned this on or done something to this or that, maybe these things would have not happened. But like I told Dode yesterday, that heater was, something I'd always turned on high, which I won't turn it on high now for sure. If I turn it on anything, it's going to be the one that's low or something. Um, because apparently the heater, I reckon what happened was the one that puts out the most air, the after so long when it stays on, it can't put, it can't take that force of that air, and it can't, it's too much. The wires or something in the walls get fried or something somehow, gets burned up in there. And the other night, so I asked my wife, I said, "How's the tub doing?" And she got in there, took a shower, she got out. Well, it was the knob thing, like I always said it was. It's one of those tricky knob things where you couldn't turn it one way and it be on, and turn it the other way and it be off. But no, I had always felt like, I've always been who I've always been. I just, back then, even though the smallest of things would get accused of. And like, uh, it's just, like I said, I remember a couple times, my papa would be doing hay with somebody. They'd come up there and do the hay and all that. And I'm playing, I'm doing my kid stuff. And like I said, it's not like I haven't had good memories with Papa or even Jason or Regina, but this is all when they were younger and they wasn't with nobody and they wasn't having these damn kids and all this crap. Yeah, this is before they decided to step foot in another world and bring it, and some bring out more kids and have more things. And like I said, I treat people the way they treat me. I had no problem with good kids. I had no problem with kids that obviously would give me a chance and talk to me and everything. And all the while there'll be people that say, "Well, Dirk, you're always doing this. You're always doing that." If they want to come in my room, they could have came in there. Hey, I liked playing Nintendo then. I liked playing the 64 or the PS2 or whatever it was back then. And if I were watching wrestling or baseball, as my dad will attest to you, then I would be out in the kitchen. My my TV or the TV I had in there in Jason's old room was used for Nintendo purposes. They would get jealous at me for singing. For my I tried to play stuff for my granny. I knew she liked Elvis, so I was showing her, and trying to show her, that my wife wanted me to play them for her, and the first thing she does is, "Oh, you did this wrong. You did that." Duh. I might have messed up a little bit, but you can't even give, you know, you can't even, "Oh, I can tell this is you singing this, Derek," but you can't even give the notion that I'm trying to do something that most people wouldn't even do. I wouldn't even sing the song right. A lot of people wouldn't even go so far as to try to sound like some of these singers. I know I used to thrill my mother a lot of times, and I used to, they used to make her day, and I used to do it quite often. I'd send them from my phone and do, what I'm saying. So, you know, and all the while, people be like, "Well, I bet he can't do this or I can't." Yeah, there's some I can't do, and I don't. It's just because either I'm not capable of doing it or I just ain't into it to do it. One or the other. Like Molly Hatchet, for example. My dad's like, yeah, and because I showed him up on Knocking on Heaven's Door. My mom said, "Hey, he can do Guns N' Roses." "Well, I bet he can't do Molly Hatchet's Flirting with Disaster." I didn't want to. I've heard that song many times, but it's not one of them that I know all the words to. It's kind of a fast song and stuff like that. But no, I just kind of wanted to come out here and straighten up anybody. So long after I'm gone, this video will be published out here for everybody to listen to and everybody to see. Even though I don't have my lights on right now or nothing, but you can see that I'm out here and I'm trying to put the truth out here. So if anybody, gets wind of, my family trying to tear me down, you know, I mean, like I said, everybody goofs up, makes mistakes. I've had a few of those, but you learn from your mistakes, and you learn from them, And to the best of your ability, when you make one that you shouldn't make, you always try to move on and not make the same mistakes. There have been times where, a fella meets somebody off the internet and you think they're who they are or whatever, or they ask you to take certain things or pictures of some kind, or, they get you into that sort of stuff, and then you find out that, oh, they're not who they say they was, or, I've had a couple of those things. Unfortunately, not everybody you meet off the internet is and some of them will get you into the whole sexual talk, and then things get blurted out or said, and you don't know how far to take things. You don't know if they're going to like certain things, or how things can, get misunderstood. So a lot of times, like my wife said, she's always, when dealing with people that you don't never get to meet, or you start texting them, you don't want to feel like, that's the only thing that you want to talk about. I mean, yeah, looks are always going to dominate the topic of discussion for some people, especially the ones that are just out here looking for a little excitement, which is not nothing bad. Like I said, making out's not bad. It's just, I have, before my wife met me, I have had those times where you get something, you get caught into something that's not, what you intended it on being, or, something gets out there and gets said. And maybe at the time you said things, like I said, that just, you thought was okay at the time, and you didn't think nothing about it, and you just blurted it out, and then they come back and then they get upset. you know. I've had a couple of times, but I've also had many good ones come off of those things, people that had stuff in common with me that carried on a decent conversation. And I can recall one particular time, as this one lady, I don't even remember what her name was or nothing, but she's one of them. I think it was pretty close, or used to be pretty close around here. She gets talking this whole sexual stuff, and, the talk and all this mess. And just because I was in that, not getting in one of these moods, just like most people, and they start, wanting to know what you'll do to them, what you'd like to do if you was making out with them. So anyway, I was getting in one of these conversations, and just she happened to mention, about having some kid or something. And so I wasn't thinking, and I was just in one of those moods, and and then of course this is a long time ago. And, like I said, it's something I don't like to say, and don't, encourage, but it was just something I blurted out. And so I didn't know whether she was, well, see, my thinking was I didn't know whether she was going to let the other kid join in or what. I didn't know what her deal was. She was just so into the whole sexual talk. And that's why I don't like people talking or texting about it, because I know some people do stuff, and you see it on stuff all the time, where you get these people with, you hear about stuff, you see things on movies, stuff happens. But like I said, I made some, people make mistakes sometimes. And that's why a lot of these people, when you see them on the internet, they like to talk about, sex, or they like to talk about certain things, or a lot of these sites they claim to do. So you do have to be careful. And, and they want you to take a picture, which I don't like to take naughty pictures of myself. But there's been a few times where a fella hits a bump in the road, and like I say, you learn from it because it kind of instigates you when you're in that moment, and you're in just like if just like people didn't like to take responsibility when they're drinking or smoking or whatever the deal is. You know, I just, you know, that's why I don't like. Because I mean, for one thing, like I said, they a lot of times take things, you know, to the point where you think, well, man, then there's nothing off limits. Well, then they get pissed off or they get mad because they in their mind, see, you don't know what everybody's thinking, so you don't know how far to push a button. Some people will let you do a lot of things that others wouldn't. And a lot of people that, it just depends on who you get with. But it's why I said, I just, for the life of me, there have been, like I said, and my wife probably speak to the times that, and I know she has, had times where, people done her wrong. I know the one that we got, or that she got with is just, a doll friend of hers, at the time. She just wanted something to do with her, and she didn't want to do anything with me. One text, and one talk, but yet, you know, no support whatsoever. You know, no support whatsoever on anything me or my wife want to do. But like I said, I try to keep the, I let people, I let somebody know that like we okay. Yeah, me and my wife will do this once in a while. If it's a grown up, yeah, if you want, if it's a lady that we'll have, a unicorn bestie or something. If they want to join in, okay, but you know, we'll make sure that kids ain't involved or ain't in the way or nothing. Like I said, it's just one of the things. And if somebody were to ask for, me and my wife's just very picky about that. I mean, we don't mind to do something, in the privacy of our home, but you know, but like I said, anything I've done wrong, I've tried to admit to it, tried to, put a bow on it, move on, fix it, and move on, learn from it, and don't let these people control the tempo of conversation that, just like we had one up here that we thought at the time, just a year ago, almost a year ago, was up here, not quite a year, but close enough. Was up here and she dominated pretty much the whole conversation with bad stuff, drugs. And just think, she's out there on purpose, being a drug addict, being a crackhead, uh, walking the streets, not making good choices, not, like I said, there's a night and day difference. This new person we found, you know, had, uh, she's had, you know, a lot of things that's happened to her, but she looks at life positively from what I hear. My wife likes the kids, and from what I know, and then she like, what she heard. My wife come down here and told me some stuff and everything. So, like I said, it's just a night and day difference when you get somebody from what you saw once. It's what makes us all good. It's what makes everybody all different. You know, you people can speak to many times having things said about them. I felt like at school the only thing I was good at was making people mad or angry. I usually always put in a situation where I felt like I was the only one that could take care of it. Put a stop to it, or somebody picked on me, I made sure I got them back. But no, like I said, it's not. my intention to go out and just, talk about making out all the time. It never was. Most of the time, I'd find good, decent people, and they would, talk about wrestling, movies, music, uh, things that I was into, But sometimes my word of advice would be to anybody: don't let somebody get you too torn up into the, as they'd call it, the cyber stuff, the cyber sex or the phone sexual stuff, because I've known that and I've been there a time or two in my life that, you know, I learned from them because they intend on you, they intend on you doing something, but it's only in a certain way or a certain light. And then something, like I said, gets mistook or misunderstood, and then somebody gets in trouble. So, you know, it's just like I said, been some things like that happen that nobody counts on happening, but at times people, and even sometimes you get somebody that says, "Oh, I was only this age or that age." Sometimes people, like I said, and they try their best, but they don't do a good job. These sites don't monitor, very, very good. So you do get, caught up. Sometimes you think they're certain uh, age or they're an adult, and then they come out and they start telling you this. And, you know, so that's why I say that, if I had anything to do with Facebook or any of these social media things, and that's why I always put my videos not for kids, because the topics I talk about or the family stuff or things I have experienced in my life that I ain't very proud of or have experienced, you know, it's not for kids. So I always try to, make sure that people know you can actually, get caught up in things that you sometimes are so proud of. You know, other people jerk you into those kind of conversations, and they shouldn't. And maybe, feller, sometimes can't think when you're in it, because sometimes when you get in one of those really deep, kind of conversations, adult conversations, I'll say, it, it takes away from you knowing what the person's really like on the inside. The person on the inside is what really matters at the end of the day, and it's what really, um, matters, because their feelings of you from just the outside doesn't make, what their eyes can see and what they visualize on the outside is not what is really important. Like me and my wife have found out, although, like I said, like she was telling me about this one yesterday, that we'd like to have as a unicorn bestie. And, she does have a couple of kids, but like I said, she's not doing anything that would alarm us, or she's not trying to, put us in a bad spot. She wants to take things slow. And, she's not no drug addict. She has a job. She's providing some stuff for her own kids. And, like I said before, I'm not a kid hater. I like kids. But I just don't like how a lot of times, people can mislead you. And it's why I'm so careful. When I speak to anybody, what is their, I'm trying to say, see, or, trying to figure out, like, what was their intention? What, you know, is it to pawn off their love for someone else? Is it to talk about someone else, or to bring up things that you just don't feel is necessary or needed in this certain conversation? I mean, it depends on who you are. And like I said, I'm up to talk about anything one time, and then once me and my wife talk about it, we want to put it out, put it out to pasture. I mean, occasionally you might go back uh, every now and again and say something, but it's not that you'll do it that much, But for the most part, put it away, you know. Try to enjoy life because you only get to live one time. Like I said, I'm one of the few lucky ones that's never had to be in a situation where I've been in a person's life to where I've seen them do drugs or anything like that. I mean, I've had people around that smoked or drank a time or two, but for the most part, that's why I'm so harsh when it comes to certain subjects. Politics is something I don't talk about a whole lot, but I'm just saying everybody goes through something in life, and you know, even though I've never tasted and never want to taste being in jail, never want to be arrested, never want to be, you can break the law to a small degree and do something that is not doesn't warrant you to get in trouble with them or anything. There's things out there like if you was out there and somebody was speeding or something, just pay your speeding ticket and don't do it again. Just don't drink and drive, don't do those things. But and that's why I say some people mistake me or a straight edge person for being, you know, um, being perfect or saying that we're perfect. And for God's sakes, don't be racist. Don't hate against other people's color and all that stuff. That's another thing. But I just kind of wanted to come out here and just talk about some stuff. Just throw something out here and then just kind of, you know, there's some stuff on my mind. But like I said, we all had mistakes. My wife, she's regretted, getting in some things she got into. Back in she has said before, she drunk some. She don't find it as, I mean, like I said, it's just like, people want to dominate conversations about things and then something gets, you know, out of whack, misunderstood to a large degree sometimes. And sometimes it's not what you see. Like I said, always on the outside, you got to have something you like about that person on the inside. How good is their heart? What's their intentions? What is, I mean, even if and no way would I condone anybody doing anything to kids or anything like it because it's just not right, you know. But like I said, some of these people on there, they get you wrapped around their finger, just talking about it or just sending you these pictures. And, my wife was very, she experienced one time up here, we accidentally got in. Well, I thought it was an older person. Turned out, turned out it's some kid or whatever. And she'd asked for, what most people would call a nasty pick or dirty pick or naughty pick or whatever. And we didn't know at the time, this person was, underage or whatever. And I told him, I said I wouldn't have done it had I known, that she was, but you know, she, was on the internet and better, like I said, it's something I was never, proud of doing. It's just these people, like I said, sometimes they get on there and they dominate conversations to where it gets a feller like, you know, in something they don't intend on, you know, and and I can't believe people would actually allow these kids to have modern technology phones. It's one of the other things, this whole thing, people say, oh, I like the fact that there's these phones, and you'll see kids with phones, 8, 9, 10 years old or in their teens. I didn't get my first phone when I was like 16 years old. And I was, and even then, I didn't even want one then. I'm going to turn me some heat on it. Hang on. But no, it's just been one of those things where, me and my wife came up with some things. I wanted to do certain things, if people wanted to do something worthwhile. I always seem to get these small offers. Um, you know, but no, I've had a good time with most kids that I've been around. They, like I said before, I've watched kids on a limited basis, and you know, good kids. No, nothing major, wrong with them, or that they're disrespectful. I was like good kids, and so I mean, it's like I said, but no, it's just unfortunate that sometimes people take things too far with just certain people out there in the world will make you think the only thing they're after is having more kids, or having just the intercourse kind of thing. Feather, that's like the only time I can actually say that I've been in a situation close to anything of being, where I felt like I was just in a place where normally I wouldn't be. It's when people's tried to, act like they wanted to do those certain things and talk about certain subjects and not talk about anything else. That's kind of been the high that you don't want to be on, when you get in one of those kind of talks. You're not really getting to find out what a person is really like. Then they can do you wrong, and they can make you miserable. So it's very important, and that's why we always, when we've had this deal where me and my wife have had it to where, this is the thing that we want to do, and that we want to see something special, you know, hopefully come up and happen where it's not just about one certain thing. It's all good stuff. Fair knows. That you can embrace somebody. You can give them a little kiss on the cheek or something or whatever. And you can be there for them emotionally, and you can be there in the tough times. And when there's good times, you always want things to go good, but everything doesn't always go good. And you can always do, like I said, you can always do the other stuff too. But you need to really get to know somebody on the inside too, and in that way, you're not being misled by nobody, and you're not just being jerked around and stuff, and that's why it's always good in any relationship, whether it be family or a friendship, which I don't, me and my wife have just done away with any of the friend stuff. But, if we get a unicorn bestie, and right now we're looking at one right now that just happened to come out of left field again. We're going to try to take it slow a little bit, not terribly slow, but just in a not rush and get moved in and everything. Just try to give it a little time, you know, 2 or 3, 4 months down the road. Like I told my wife, if we take this one slow, we'll know we're getting into, and she already knows what we're aiming to do, but she just doesn't want to, because like I said, if she doesn't take to me, which I've not met the person that we're talking about, but and I've not met any of her family or kids or anything, but she's already had a marriage that didn't work out, but she's got a couple kids and everything. So I mean, and she has a job and everything. So, like I said, there's a lot that could be, you know, taken, and a lot of this stuff that I've said about, has not been told to a lot of people. Uh, about the stuff on the internet, because a lot of times, I was trying to branch out there and trying to get out there, because I knew I couldn't do it when I had people with me, or I just never felt comfortable. If I was out with my grandmother at the time, or if I would have brought somebody home from school, or if a fella would have branched out there and did something, you knew in the back of your mind that somebody would hate, uh, But like I said, there've been times that you just, every now and again, you get somebody that lies, just wants to dominate some kind of conversation. That's the risk you take getting on the internet. If I had, if I could, I'd had the notion that change, certain things about just letting just anybody have a phone, or, whatever. I'd find some way to have like a kids only phone or something, or just have emergency only on the, maybe have a child proof phone made where like they couldn't get just anything, no internet, or something, restrict it to just family, and whatever numbers, have, like if it's just a friend they know from school or something. It's like I said, a lot of the problems is technology gets too advanced, and everybody brags on how easy it is to get on these things and how easy it is to do certain things. But it's just like computers. You always need, seems like you always need something. And, or somebody's always out trying to hammer you on something, try to tear your stuff up, even though it's nothing of theirs. They just do it out of spite. Uh, so, like I said, this computer's done pretty well as far as getting out there. And otherwise, if it wasn't for the money that we had, we wouldn't have been able to get one. I got this one at $300 and some change. So it's the cheapest computer I've ever bought. The two I had before that, I bought one is like five something or 600. Then there was the other one that the school paid for. The first time I had a computer, they paid $700. They took funds out of their school fund or whatever they had, and they had enough money to afford me a computer to help me with some math that I was having some trouble with. So they had some program thing on there you could go on and all that stuff. But no, that's why me and my wife, especially don't like doing anything that people ask. We don't even like taking pictures of our own IDs, and there's just, like I said, there's modern things like that, and people will ask for codes for you to type back codes and junk, and you know, but that's why we've just basically done away with the internet stuff, except for just coming out here and getting on YouTube, looking up things or whatever have you. But like I said, so anybody viewing this, it's not anything that is for anybody out here. It's just we sometimes feel like coming on here and kind of just for the hell of it, give us something to look forward to or to do. But yeah, a lot of the family stuff has, just got so out of hand. People don't realize that there's so much, stuff that have happened and have, gotten to that point where, you know, people just aren't what they were, and that's the only way I know to say. You're used to getting spoiled and used to being pretty much the only thing in town. But then other things come up, and then you get left on the back burner, and then you get. It's not like I'm jealous, but you feel like you want to be a part of it, and you want to be offered a certain thing, or you wish some of these people would said, "Hey, do you want to go do this? Do you want to go to a ball game with me tonight? Watch me play some ball or something?" And I would have done it for somebody in the family, but I told my wife, since after the last time that this thing happened to me in Etowah, whatever, Bonehead, I haven't been to any basketball games myself. If I ain't got no kids of my own to have to worry about or put through any sports or anything. There's no reason to be there. I'd go to a wrestling thing or something, have a good time. But I haven't been worried about them basketball games ever since. I'll go out and I'll do some basketball or something, and play just, me and my wife or something if we ever got a chance or when the fire comes. But no, I couldn't go to bed, and I got up to go to the bathroom or whatever, just woke up. Yeah, I just woke up. But no, we got everything fixed, so we're going to try to get moved up there. And like I said, hopefully we get some people, to help us move up there. Maybe there'll be some of them could help us. But no, just about like I wanted to kind of put some of this to bed, that, maybe somebody might hear from somebody else or, but, sometimes people can get, you know, misunderstood by just anybody in general. And I don't like doing funerals and weddings and all those other things. My wife the other night asked me if I'd ever been to anybody's wedding. And she said, "Oh, I used to go to a lot of people's stuff like that." I just never was invited, but if it was somebody I really liked and I really had some kind of good feeling about, or just, like I went to my Aunt Regina's one time, but the one time she got married, and cause I was like, she ain't had her chance. But no, I'd always been, oh man, now I'm yawning. But I'd always tried to be supportive, even though if the family didn't feel like it or wasn't. I never was really approached by anybody in my family. I never was asked for my opinion on much. But at times, they could get their little, my grandmother would get her little stuff out, and she'd have a little issue with me. She'd go and get everybody else involved and then make it worse as usual. And other people give their opinion. But yet, like I said back in the day, I'd get aggravated. "Oh, you're going on a date night tonight? You got a date?" just trying to. They didn't want me to, but they're just trying to get under my skin with it. But no, I'm glad we got everything fixed. And I didn't want to tell, I didn't really want to tell our landlord that my wife had put down, a couple things that she didn't normally put down, but this time she put down that, you know, she put down we had decided on a name. So when we had, if we had a girl, we had a name that was picked out. And she just wanted to put it down there. It's on her mind, and stuff like that. And she put that down, and then she put something else down on there. And like I said, it's just to let people know, you know, she ever had children that she had a name picked out for a girl. Well, she wrote that name down on there, and she put something else. I forget what else it was. So, in the person that we dealt with up there at the place, basically up at Dayton Housing, wasn't the one. If we'd have had Stacy there, Stacy would have understood it. We did. We filled out the application before uh, going, I think, and we brought it with us. And she looked over everything, and like I said, Stacy wasn't there. It was this other woman. But I told my wife, I said we got to just from now on we got to put just me and you down, nothing else, because it costs people, you know. And I understand she's excited and wants everybody, but see that's the approach. Like I tell her, it's the approach most people take, but it's just like when my wife wanted to put Gabriel's pictures out on Facebook, and I didn't see nothing wrong with it. My brother's children, but or a child at the time. He's got two now, I think. Yeah, he's got two. But at the time, he only had Gabriel, and they brought some pictures up, and we, excited. And my wife was real excited, of course, and just wanted everybody to know that she loved him. Nothing bad, nothing crazy, but she ended up, Darren's wife ended up having a cow, and we're, in gospers, tattle all the time on shit. And I go and I look on Laura's behalf of her, her page. I'm like, well, my God, and Darren's they've got them on there everywhere. What's the difference? So anyway, I got to where I started saying, do not send pictures up here if you don't want us to say anything good about your kids, or if you don't want us to love on them or have anything to do with them, or you don't want us to say good things and put them out there. I mean, it's not like we meant any harm. Nobody means any harm. If it's going to mean any harm, we would be saying things that we, wouldn't say. If we didn't like them. We don't want to harm anybody. We don't want to see anybody's kids harmed or nothing. It's just, like I said, people like that sometimes, blow up on the smallest stuff, and that's why I can't be around family, can't be around anybody much as my wife and I like to have, forgiveness for some of the things that we wanted to sit down and talk about with her people, wanted to sit down and tell them it's all a big misunderstanding, tell my family, but there's some things you just can't do and you can't talk about it. And it's the way it is. Some people's like, easy to talk to. Some people's like, very But my dad knows and understands. Like I said, um, we I felt like he's the only one that never really changed, Paul. And I felt bad the other day when I had to call him about this stuff that Miss Prophet was going on about, wanting us to try to stay somewhere and all that. And I said, no, it's, I kept telling my wife, I said, I already know it's not going nowhere. But, yeah, you just have to know that, it's not one of those things that you're always proud of to have to tell somebody that you really don't get around many people. I've always been that way. It's not that I'm shy. I just don't like putting myself out there on other people's dime and them promising things and then them not being able to, deliver for any small reason that they come up with. It's not like it's an emergency. I would understand if it's an emergency. But a lot of people say a lot of the things and do the darndest things for other people that's in their family or something. But then when it comes time for me, like I said, I've been at work, I've been at jobs, I've had, tried to do my thing, but then other people comes up, wants to be something or wants to involve themselves in our business when really they can't handle what we got going on. But just like my wife said, her mistakes, I've made some. My wife had been here once or twice when we had something off the internet that we didn't know was going to happen. Things that happened, so she knows things like that could happen. So that's why we've been very very cautious. We've tried to let people know, that we don't do sexual pleasure like things, sending out things or doing anything that would, you know, obviously not be in good taste. I mean, like I said, we don't mind do stuff in private, but we're not going to be out there wearing stuff that's very revealing. We're good people, respectful people, and anything that I've ever done to anybody that would be in bad taste or that if it was something that to a nature that I wasn't accustomed to and got caught up in the moment for. I didn't mean no harm, just like anybody would. But like I said, a lot of times it's dominated by people that get you in those kind of moods or in those conversations, and then you end up saying something, that then they don't expect or don't, so it's like I said, it's why they should think, about, before they just start, having the phone stuff or having the text and stuff. And, if you ain't going to talk about your true feelings and how you really feel, maybe you want to get done that way, but maybe it's not such a good idea, especially if you got other kids that you really care about and you got other family that would probably not like to hear that you want to be done something to or something. Maybe you ought to think about it. Yeah, I'm just saying. Because there's a lot of people out there that can get caught up in things. I'm kind of glad now that people are such an a-hole about certain things. Because all it seems to be now is that people ask for cards or money or something, and it's strange because if you were back when I was young, and well, I'm still young, but I mean, younger. You were taught as a kid not to ask for this, no money from people. You didn't just go out, and I've had things happen to me. Like I said, I've been touched down there below a couple times, but I don't let it dominate me. I don't let it define me. I don't let people, I don't let things like that tear me up or tear me down to where I'm just, miserable all the time, or I don't like this, crack whore mess. I don't let that dominate the conversation. But you know, because I wanna have a good time. I wanna be able to just, I mean, if somebody asks me a question, I always try to be upfront about it, and try to do my best with it. But I know people are touchy. I know people get their butt hurt so much. These days. Hang on, I'm gonna turn this back on. But yeah, for all the things I've said on here about me, it ain't no different than somebody going out there and doing what this world does on a daily basis. Go out there and they show off everything, and you go out there and then they have one of these deals where they're having, on the street corner. My wife knew some people up in Ohio, and that's all they talk about is, it's one person always seemed like she's always out there on the street corner wanting wanting something to do with somebody sexually or whatever, and then she's always sound like she's just trying to sell herself to everybody, get with everybody's man, get with everybody's, you know, um, person, that they had or whatever, and she's just hopping and skipping around. So, like I said, but the person straightened up, I reckon now. And like I said, my wife and I don't have anything to do with any of that stuff. But that's why we say we're just not into doing what people want to do as far as anything, sexually or stuff like that. Now, in the privacy of our own home, that's different. We'll do that, in our home, but we try to always be respectful and honest and nice in the way that we know how to be. And we've learned a lot. Me and my wife have, like I said, she's been through a lot. And in 10 years, being with me, there's been times, we've had our ups and our downs. But overall, we've come to realize, we're strong. We're meant to, be together. Uh, there's things that happen sometimes that you don't like, that you don't want to happen, but they will. They'll happen. And fortunate for me, my wife had brought up, oh, they reminded me about your blood work and I went down there. Well, it's like I told her, and I try not to get upset because I know they're just trying to be an ass. I mean, these are the same people down there at that fucking doctor's office that didn't want to get none of these other kids nothing, but yet picks out at random people to give, dolls to. And I'm sure there's been one or two more. It's not just my wife, but one or two more has probably got one of these pleasures. And like I said, it upsets other people. You got to be considerate of other people's kids and how they would feel. You know, Maybe a lot of the people down here doesn't think of their, doesn't think of other kids and don't care how I feel. I'm not saying that I want something necessarily from them, but if they're going to do that for her, just happen to be my wife, or or two or three other people, then you need to do something for everybody. And bring up a good solution. I said, well, how about just get everybody a old gift card to go out to eat on? If you got that much money to fucking blow, then why don't you just put, when there's somebody's birthday, if you want to give out something so bad, give out a gift card or something. And if they can go to Hardee's or go out, you can get a Piggly Wiggly card, and you can go out and get you a lunch plate or something. But anyway, no, it's just like stuff like that. Just be done out of spite and on purpose. My wife never asked for anything like that. She knows that she can get something and she wants it, she can get it from me. And if our unicorn bestie works out for the best, Shirley here or whatever, then she can also be the one that buys something, and we'll buy something in return for her or something and her kids or whatever. But as far as just doing anything for anybody else, and like I told my wife, if she has some people that she'd like for us to meet or something, and and I would advise her to do the same thing. I wouldn't just tell just anybody about us right away, just like she didn't want to. Me and my wife's got this old bag over here. We got, a ring and a couple other goodies. The ring is a real ring, by the way. It's a 10-carat gold ring. So, me and my wife was just sitting here yesterday talking about, you know, let's give her to like Christmas or something and give her some time. And, maybe we could surprise her like that on Christmas and like, wrap something up, you know, and everybody be like, oh, well, it's only a little over a month. Well, I mean, you'd be surprised what you can find out in that time. And as I said, it's not like me and my wife's going to move her in right now. And no, with everything that's going on here and what the place is over here, it's not worth that. It's not. It's not handicap accessible. It's not, in any way, shape, or form uh, up to the standards I'd like for it to be. And like I told my wife, I warned her, yesterday. Well, not warned her, it's not in a bad way. We talked about it. Like, hey, if we get up here, we know we're not going to be able to be loud and, extra loud or just do anything. We need to be careful this time. And, you know, if I never work another day for another company or if I never have another job, it's not going to be that I don't want to work. It's just, I can't handle but certain things and certain people and certain things. So, it just, like I said, it depends on who and what. And like I said, this person here, she might know somebody I could clean. Remember, my wife could clean some housing for or something, or an apartment for. Maybe do like some side job work or something that wouldn't be so hard on us. But it's no, it's not about money for me. It's not about like I was telling this prophet, it wasn't about you know I've been laid off twice for things that I shouldn't have been laid off for, and in it there's I just feel like these people you can't really trust them with your own job security. You can't take one day for granted anymore when you're. Yeah, and I mean I understand people get excited, and I did too. I got excited when I worked, but no, I'm not worried about what my blood work is. Just, really, I've been blessed with really good health. I haven't been able to get out, like I said, and do exercises and all that other, go out there and walk for all day long or go to a park and play basketball and do these things and get out there and get my energy done because there ain't been nobody to do anything with. There's not been, Every time me and my wife have seen anything, we get promised certain things, and that's when I started walking the roads. Trying to help. Get us. I wanted to get me and her to where we would get able to go to the fair. Maybe this person works out up here, and I'm not doing it like I told my wife earlier. Have told my wife. I said I'm not going to do anything with Hazel. I'm not going to do anything with anybody that I don't fool with on a regular basis. My wife had told me the other day that Hazel was kind of talking bad about her now. And I said, well, it's probably because she knows I'm telling the truth, and I come out here and I tell the truth about it. I don't like how she did us over those bag of clothes. She could have helped us out a little bit and asked somebody for just a dollar or something, or we could have gotten some clothes done. Like I said, I could have probably done it in at least $2. It wouldn't have had to been much. Just so we could have we could have just took a small load just to had for another day or two. Could let everything else go or something. We wouldn't have had to take a whole big bag or nothing. But no, I just hate that people will, try to lie. And I know even after putting all this out here about the family and about things I'm not proud of that I've been through or been put through, or accidentally put me or my wife through, or however, And like I said, nothing that we do is you know on purpose, like directly, meaning to hurt people. We give them a chance, but when you do something and you can't come to a 50-50 deal, and you can't meet in the middle, and you can't compromise and make things work, then those people like the crack whore and a lot of the other things I've spoke about, things have to be tossed away and have to be done away with. But family and friends are not always the best, and church people ain't always the best either. Because, like I told yesterday to my landlord when she's over here talking to me, I said, they come up there thinking it's all about them, and they want you to, be happy that they're happy that you're there. And then she's like, well, it's not supposed to be about us. It's supposed to be about, you know, Jesus and all that. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I'm saying that's what I'm saying. I can't go. Me and my wife can't go in without. Used to at one time I would have my own space, but that's because they wasn't. If you didn't come up to them like where I used to go up at Walnut Grove, you know, I could go up there and sit up front and just say hi to the preacher and shake his hand and go on. I might talk to the bus driver on the way there and back, but or something like that. But just about casual things, nothing major, nothing over the top. But just everyday things like how your week was or whatever, things of that nature. But no, and I hear this Shirley woman, she's not a church person, so. And like I said, it's like I said, it seems like things have just lined up all of a sudden. Somehow we've come to that point where looks like we can, finally say for better or worse, we've got somebody now that we can actually go through the good times with, and what bad times come. I know if we keep everything like it is right now, and if she's as good as she has been, and stays the way she is, then there shouldn't be no issues, no problems. But like I said, you can be anybody and get caught up in something, and you can have feelings for people. And it's like a time I lost $3,000 on somebody. Me and my wife happened to like somebody really good, and get her feelings kind of hurt, and things get done and said, and it happens. And we learn, that you can't just throw anybody in our path, and not even in a nice way. I used to, there at the end before I quit Hardee's, I was telling this woman that had this guy, I'm just not really into married couples, and especially man and woman couples. I'm not into them like that. I don't want to be doing, because then I get caught up into things, kind of like I said earlier. You want more than what people would be willing to give, and you want, because you're in a certain situation, and you were brought into this world, and you're handicapped and everything, and there's just certain things people can get attached, and I know for myself, I can get attached to a nicer lady like my wife can. She can get attached to somebody like that real easy. And we just have to remind ourselves that, you know, it's better that the one we got right now that wants this offer that we've got, and she don't know anything about the ring or nothing, but or anything we've got. She knows that what we're looking for as far as just where we want to get to with her, and like I said, the kids will be able to get to know us and everything, and we get to do a lot of fun things. Me and my wife hadn't got to do in a long, long, long time. Small things, somebody simple. Like I was telling my wife, that was the ultimate goal that I had in mind. Somebody that wasn't, out there for all the material things, something, because you can't replace, life. You can't replace being a human being. You don't get that back. You can get medicine back. You can get most material things you can get back. If it's something like a ring that me and my wife's put money into that we bought that we want, we want to make sure we give it to the right person, and that person will cherish us long after we're gone or whatever. And it'll be something that she can hold on to, and that the person will never have to be alone again, because she'll never, she won't have to worry about nobody else. She could always have this as take it to her grave. The way I like to have it. Anybody that we would be able to get with. And they wouldn't be miserable. Like I said, they'd have tons of things that we would, have bought her, and things that we would have done for her, and then memories. And you can't replace, stuff like that if you're really that close. So, but no, I just felt like coming out and just kind of, getting some of these things out. Some things I haven't really talked about. It's, just something I don't normally feel, the need to do. But yeah, there was things that you experience in your life that's not necessarily, the best, but it's not like I said, it's not like I have done the worst of things and went out here and just been like one of these crackheads or one of these drunks, make excuses for why they do those things and why they would dip or why they would smoke cigarettes or whatever they do, you know. But, a few things that aren't the best to do or it was just things that, like I said, that people shouldn't just be talking about making out all the time and what they want done to themselves or what they want you to do to them. And that's what gets everything else, And you're kind of in one of those moods where you just your body takes over. And you kind of in one of those, like I said earlier, it's like the buzz feeling, when you're in those kind of moods, and you know. But things can get misunderstood. Things get said that you didn't really mean to say, and people can take you the wrong way and think that you really meant, you know, things like that. Like I said, if somebody said, "Hey, yeah, I don't have no problem with you doing this or that to so and so," or you know, to a certain person's kids or whatever. Well, I mean, if they gave you permission, obviously it's up to you whether or not you do it or not. But you know, it's stupid if somebody did that. Would do it. But in good conscience, no. Nobody should. If somebody was that stupid to do it, or something. Um, but again, it just depends, on the person and people. That's why I say the internet's one of the most. It's a blessing for some things, but in a lot of ways, it's not. But no, I wouldn't, do that, and it, sometimes you get things said a certain way or taken out. You say things in the heat of the moment or whatnot. And it's like I said, but if they were the age of accountability and they wanted to join in with us or something, or if it was like a bestie or something, they knew that you know some it might be different, but no kids because that's stupid. But like I said, you'll find people out there of all shapes, sizes, and they'll act like they want to talk like this kind of thing, want this thing done. But then what if they have underage people and kids out there, and then you get caught up, and they start telling you, oh yeah, this and that. But yeah, you got to be careful. But you know, yeah, because people can assume that everything's going to be fine and all right, and it's not. So, like I say, but just kind of wanted to come out here and talk a little bit and yeah, get some of this out and how I felt about the family. I don't wish them. Yeah, I don't wish to do anything with my family. I don't wish to be around them. And I don't know. I guess I haven't explained this, but I know I've been harsh. But I don't as much as I don't want to be around them in their current form and their current state of affairs and what they're doing. And no, I don't want to be a support system because, like I said, they drug me through the mud so much so that it just can't be forgotten about and it can't be forgiven. But I don't wish them ill health or or whatever. But no, I'm not going to be going to nobody's funerals in my family if something happens to them. I'm not going to be going to the nursing home. I'm not going to be going to my wife's people's stuff and doing their stuff on their behalf. I'm going to turn this on again. That way. But no, I don't intend on doing anything with nobody's people, whether it's emergency type stuff or if it's the smallest thing. Oh, good morning, baby. Good morning, honey. Oh, you're all right. Here, you want to come? Oh, baby, want to come? Come on, baby. What? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, honey. Me. Oh, I'll turn it back off. Let me turn it back. Oh, oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry, sweetheart. Come here, sweetie. Oh, what's the matter? Come here. What's the matter, sweetie? What's wrong? Hmm. What's wrong with Kitty? What is she, sweetheart? What is she? What is she? Oh, what's the matter? Yeah. What's the matter? Well, like I said, I'm just gonna come out here and kind of lay some things out. Like I said, it's not. I didn't know how to tell certain people, some of the stuff and how to, I don't want to go into, some things. Not, like I said, it's not go directly into graphic detail, and I can't even remember names. It's a lot of stuff's happened, but you know, but family stuff and all that, I just, like I said, it's not. I'd wish ill health on most of, most of them. I mean, there's some I hate more than others, but I just no, they just, it's. I mean, of course, I have one or two in my my list that I don't particularly care for, especially, like my mother and things like that. She, like I said, she blames everybody but herself for all her personal choices. I haven't said that line on here yet, but she, all the things that she will have you believe is, everybody else's fault but hers. I've came out and not that I've ever got anybody a Christmas gift or that everybody's gotten things from me. I didn't have it to give, but I always took things and was always respectful and grateful for them. But sometimes, like with my wife's people and things of that nature, they'd buy me shit that I felt that I didn't deserve, didn't need it, didn't want it, because I wasn't being fairly treated, good by them, and they wasn't calling or texting me or having anything with me. So I didn't understand why they were buying gifts and blowing their money on somebody they didn't hardly know, didn't want to get to know, didn't want to do anything with. So, everybody missed out. And I told my wife the other that. I said, well, then they're going to start, not any of them's going to start saying after 10 years they finally want something to do with one of us or both or however they want. If they can't do both of us right, then they shouldn't get nothing. Oh, my, Birdie. But, we should just do what we know we need to do on our end and live our lives to the fullest. And if we get, for this other thing that we just met yesterday, or well, my wife met her, but if it works out, then we'll have that and have whatever's in that. Then we could spend, holidays or something like that, or do something special with them people there if they're good enough, or if it don't turn out as good on that, maybe we can do me and my wife and just her and her two kids or something. Whatever makes whatever's best, But I don't like coming between people's family, but they're gonna. That's why I said a little bit of this earlier, but that's why I would hope that she take her own advice and not tell her people right away if she's doing this, or if she does have friends, I'd hope she doesn't just come straight out and, I know she's happy, or I know that the person would be happy, but you just can't do that, and I would hope that she'd understand I ain't trying to be harsh or to be hateful, but you just cannot allow yourself to think that everybody else is going to feel like you do. It's just like I said with the crack whore mess up here. You can't expect me to take your friends, and just because you think they're good doesn't mean I think they're good, because I don't know them. I haven't seen them. I haven't felt them out. I haven't seen what they're about. I don't know what they do during their day. I have to be around you some. I can't, and to be honest with you, any person could tell you that, but except for people that's too obvious that they don't want to see stuff the way they ought to. But no, uh, just woke up early, couldn't go to sleep. So, but anyway, I practically, like I said, I've narrowed everything down. But no, anything that I've mentioned, is just some things that I feel like maybe might help a few other people. Might be something, maybe we never see you, or maybe we never hear of you, but maybe somebody views this video, maybe watch some of this all the way through, or watches most of it. Maybe you pick up a few things that happened to me or my wife, or some things, that's, like I said, she's been through a lot with her people and what they've done to her, and make her feel one way, and then she finds out that really, obviously, they're not that way any longer, and things, like I said. But I can put up with anybody. Well, at least give them a chance, and give them. Yeah, I just I don't go and give you 100 chances. I'll give you I'll give you what I'd call a second chance, or if necessary. But honestly, if you can't do it by the second chance, then there's no reason to continue. No matter what the Bible says, or what anybody thinks. You gotta, sometimes you gotta get rid of some stuff. And sometimes, even if it hurts you, and it hurts everybody involved, they've got to understand that they've made their own bed. And a lot of times, like this crack whore mess, like I said, we got into it. She didn't care about nobody but herself, you know, and her dang kids that she can go out and play tickle tank with all the time, or some form or another of some things that she wants to do. But she feels like she can go out here and boss these other people around, and maybe she can get away with some people, but she's not going to get her way. People like her are not going to get their way with us. We try to live right and try to do things the right way, and we try to use our teachings and our upbringings to the best of our ability, and try to teach that to other people. Whether you want to hear it or not, that's up to you. But yeah, so hopefully, though, we get everything. Hopefully, by probably another month or so, we'll get some things done, and maybe we can, like I said, my wife and I's Thanksgiving. Well, probably think. Well, and we could probably see what this one's doing for Thanksgiving. She might come by and eat. Oh, okay. I didn't know. Oh, well. Anyway, we'll see what say, but 'cause it's it's about,
The 25th,
yeah, about almost 3 weeks out. So we'll see what happens there. But most time, no, me and my wife, the last several years, we just done our own thing at the house. But I just kind of don't want to pass up an opportunity to offer somebody an opportunity if they really want you around, or if they can fit you in, and want to fit you in. We want to make sure we give an opportunity, you know. And if they don't, that's fine. Like I said, because like I said, we just started this whole thing. Well, we don't know, but I wouldn't think it would be any harm and just, well, you know, like I said though, when having a whole lot of people around, the more people that are around, the more harder and tougher it gets, you know. But you know, it just depends on how everybody would take to you, and it'd be something new. So it might be the best, you know, that if I did you know, offer something, maybe try to do like me and my wife said, maybe try Christmas or something. You know, maybe let her do her thing with her family this time. See what Christmas holds, you know. Because like I said, it'll be here before we know it, you know. Uh, Everybody, it just seems like this stuff flies by now. These holidays and all this other stuff. You know, used to it seemed like it was slow when he's a kid. You didn't realize how time was, but it's faster as you get older. But you know, and anything you will talk about on the video? Okay, well, my wife's up, so I'm gonna spend some time with her for a little while. You know, everything like okay. All right, well, I've talked long enough. I've been on here a little 2 hours. I'm probably get off here right now. Let's see. Lord have mercy. Yeah, it's hard. Wait this. There we go. Now I'm in.